Welcome to the Black Belt Business Podcast. My name is Matthew Brenner, and today I'm with Jewlianna Ramos Ortiz. She is a martial artist, a stunt actor, and eventually going to be a movie and film producer. That's a long-term goal, so we'll talk about that today. Jewlianna, thank you so much for coming on here today.
Thanks for having me.
So give us a little bit about your background, your martial arts background, and like your social media handle for people who want to look you up while they're listening.
Yeah, so I started out when I was in the womb, if we really think about it. So my parents had a Junri Taekwondo school in Hialeah before I was born. They closed it, opened it back up. So I grew up in the Junri system. And then I grew up and got into the NASCA circuit. I started to pick up on more of the Japanese styles. So I trained some Shotokan, some Goju. And then I have my black belt in the Chunkukdo, the UFAF Chuck Norris system.
So when did you actually start competing?
I started competing when I was, I want to say, 8 or 9. Right before that, I had the kindergarten peer pressure stint when I got into school when I was 5, and then all the little kids were like, "Ew, karate's for boys. You can't do karate. You have to do dance and gymnastics and cheerleading." And I'm sure you run into this all the time. All the little girls are like, "You know what? I'm really good at this and I love it, but I think I have to stop and go into dance because all my friends are doing dance." And it's okay, sure, but I can tell as an adult, as your instructor, I can tell. Anyways, my parents never forced me to do anything. They just kind of let me wander. And at 8, I came back to it. And I knew I was good at all this other stuff, but I was good because I had the martial arts body awareness, but I didn't have that passion for it. And at 8, when I got back, I remember that day so crisp and clear and telling my parents, like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And they were like, okay, yeah, cool.
So
Did you have a stint of like pausing your martial arts career too? I feel like it happens a lot with girls, and I notice it because I went through it. But I
yeah,
wonder if the boys do that too.
you know what? I would say the only time where I stopped a little bit was high school sports. So probably when I was playing more basketball and baseball. But I've pretty much stayed consistent because my mom, I didn't really have much of a choice. My mom is just, she's a boss of the family. Whatever she says goes. So if it's time to go to a karate class, I'm going. And now, when I had a more conflicting schedule, it would be a little bit more difficult. But for the most part, I would say I stayed consistent. But you're like an ultra competitor. I competed at the little local tournaments, some of the national tournaments where I was like middle of the pack, never impressive in any way. So I never really got to like the competitive side, but there's definitely that feeling amongst boys of the same thing where not that you should be doing dance or gymnastics or something like that, but also you should be doing, baseball or hockey or basketball, right? And that's the problem with martial arts, I think, is there's no scholarship you can get in college for competing in martial arts. And you can't get a degree in running a martial arts school at a university. Maybe someone will change that eventually. Who knows? But the problem is the problem is you have like some kid who, even I'm sure it has happened in your school, where there's some kid who's like athletic and they're good at martial arts, but the parents, there's no long-term benefit from this. I want my child to get a baseball scholarship from Vanderbilt or something. He's going to go do baseball, right? I guess that part really sucks, and I'm hoping maybe we can change that. But that's like a big industry change. I don't know how we would do it. Do you ever think about that, like how we would actually make that happen?
I mean, it is the one question that haunts me at night, and I can only hope that it's one of those monsters that you just tackle one bite at a time in making those small changes in your side of things, in your school, just in maybe we start up here in the mindset. Because, like you said, a lot of times it's not even convincing the kid that they have a future in this, it's convincing the parent to leave them long enough to see the value in that light at the end of the tunnel. But we can't even do that if we, as instructors or mentors in this industry, know where to send them. If we don't have clarity in the direction, how can we send them running? If we don't know steps A, B, and C, then how do we do that? So I feel like a big thing I have been in charged with being a martial artist that has graduated to a pretty decently glamorous career because of the martial arts is to figure out those steps A, B, and C, one, two, three, and how can others do it and feel valued and do what they love. As instructors, I would say is trying to be as resourceful as possible. I don't think we talk about that quality enough. Being resourceful and talking to parents about how this is going to help them no matter what they decide to do. Does your kid want to go to college? Well, think about how good a black belt looks on their resume, because it shows that college that they can be dedicated to something that is hard, have the perseverance, and finish a long term goal. Colleges love the idea that somebody got their black belt at this age. They've already shown that they can stick to something and graduate. So that's how you can talk to a parent. That's how you can talk to an academic kid. Your college is going to love to see this and multiple degrees. Or what are other things that you've thought of, like being resourceful, trying to convince people, like, okay, this is how martial arts is valuable aside from just martial arts?
Yeah, so the argument that you just made, I've made that same argument too, but I don't know if that's even true. Is it? Do they look at a resume and say, "Oh, black belt"? Do they actually think that? I've said the same thing, but when you're saying it back to me, so I hear it from a different person, I'm like, do they think that? I've never actually talked to a college counselor and then saying, "Oh, well, yeah, black belts. We that's always sticks out to us. Maybe it sticks out to them if someone plays 4 years of varsity hockey. Maybe that's what sticks out, right? Or they're
Mhm.
on their competitive dance team or competitive cheer team or something. I'm not sure if that's even true. Maybe.
I mean, I would think so. Being in the film industry, nothing is guaranteed, but you have to check off as many little boxes that might get you closer to that goal. So I feel, if you're thinking like, oh, I think they would prefer to see 4 years of competitive hockey, then maybe that's the way you word it. 4 years of competitive martial artist, graduated second degree. Because what if that school counselor happens to have a black belt and knows the dedication it takes? I mean, there's so many colleges, there's so many people that end up reading resumes. Like, it just takes one to see that and be like, this is different. Because I feel like that's what happened a lot with my social media. Was for a while, martial arts content was so niche. There is maybe, there is such a small group of us that have gotten an actual following and community because of the martial arts on social media. And it's just been as of the last, I want to say, 3 years that it's really popped off. Before that, it was almost too niche for it to make a difference. But we're entering into a time and space where people appreciate that. Ooh, that's different. Or I want her to do a brand deal because we have a ton of dancers and we have a ton of this, but maybe we get to brag a little that we have a female martial artist.
Mm.
So it's not that it's guaranteed, but creating that value to the martial arts for somebody that is going to just keep it in mind. Maybe it just sits in the back of their mind. It takes 2 to 3 business weeks before they're like, you know what, that is valuable to keep into consideration. That parent may not see the value immediately, but they keep thinking about it and they're like, you know what, it's worth a shot that my kid gets their black belt.
Yeah, and if someone wants to see what a social media account looks like that's really popular, they should follow you. So it's at on Instagram at karate.jewels, Jewels, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good job. Thank you.
Yeah. And is there anywhere else people should follow you, like when they're listening on here so they can go on and look at it?
Yeah, so I'm on all the socials, and obviously every social media has a different type of audience and different type of content, but I'm on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, YouTube,
You're on it all. Wherever you
Snapchat.
have it, find it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's
And like
all
when I
under karate.jewels.
Yeah. So like when I found you through a mutual friend, I found you after you've already had a large following, right? It's like when I looked earlier today, it was like almost 800K followers on Instagram alone. Like I have a little note folder on my phone where I put martial arts like influencers, I would say, or just like anything that's like a badass martial artist, even if they don't have a large following, especially the female martial artists, so I can send to my female students. And I'll just copy and paste and be like, hey, because I know they're on social media, right? I'm like, hey, check out this person, right? And I'm so happy that I have people like you and Raina of Vladingham or Valdingham. I forget how to say her last name.
Breathing.
Yeah, Samantha Mittling. I had her on the podcast. She's awesome. There's people you can look up to and make amazing content that kids didn't have before, right? They didn't have. You go to if you're going to martial arts class and you're a little girl, you're 8 years old. You're lucky if there's even one female instructor. Now, at least you have on social media, if there's not a lot of female instructors, so I wish there was more. We'll get to that in a second. Like, at least you have someone you could look up to and see them creating cool content and also have still have that feminine side, right? It's not just not the maybe the traditionally manly female or something that might have been okay, what might have been the norm 30 years ago, right? At traditional karate school. So, was that what your intention when you started like your social media? Like, all right, I want to inspire little girls in martial arts, or is that just who you were? So it's kind of happened.
It's funny that you say that. So my social media actually came up in a very interesting way. I woke up in the middle of the night and I woke up Justin, my husband now, Justin Ortiz. He's also a martial artist. He
Mhm.
was on Team Paul Mitchell Fighter. And so I wake him up and I tell him, I'm like, baby, I had a dream. You're going to be famous on social media. You need to open up an Instagram account and it's going to be called The Ortiz Experience and it's going to blow up. You're going to inspire so many people. At the time, we were traveling the world and just competing and teaching seminars. And so I had this great idea. And I was like, you know what? Just to make sure that I can see your account, I'm going to make one too. And I'm just going to call it karate.jewels. And I'm going to watch you blow up. And a week later, I had 1,000 followers. And I was like, ooh. So my dream was a little convoluted. It was late.
Yeah.
But I wrote down what I actually do some speaking gigs about. And it's your personal brand, your brand Bible. I remember writing down, what does Karate Jewels stand for? What is it in what is it aim to do? What do I want people to think when they see my social media? What are the things that I post about? What three categories do I mainly post about? And what are the things that I completely leave out of my social media? And I've always referenced back to it in every chapter of my life, even as things ebb and flow and we grow and we change. I'm actually going to pull it up, but it's been here since I've got my brand Bible.
All right, tell me some things you got on there for people who are listening and can't see it.
Yeah, so on my brand Bible, I have my brand name, Karate Jewels. What do I want the purpose of my social media to be? Karate Jewels exists to inspire, to share a consistent, unique, and personal journey of growth, progress over perfection. What do I want my social media to accomplish? I would like it to be an ever growing platform and network that inspires others and provides opportunities for myself and others around me to grow, learn, and continue to inspire. What three words do I want to come into a person's head when they look at my page? Badass, beautiful, respectable, and admirable.
Okay, I think that's
Because,
4 words, but yeah.
yeah, but
Oh,
see, the respectable, admirable is like a slash.
it's slash. Okay, got it.
Ah, it's a
Slash
slash. I gave
compound
it a
word.
little
Okay.
slash there. It's a respectable, admirable all together, all
Yeah.
one. And I really want to share a message that you can be pretty, feminine, and tough, strong, and badass. They can coexist. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. And then what three categories will I mainly post about? Karate, lifestyle, and then stunts film industry. And then what are the things that I keep more on the private side or completely private? Detailed struggles, mental health issues, relationships and family, religion and politics, profanity and sexier pictures, or humor that may offend anyone, criticism and bad mouthing. And I can always look back and reference this whenever I feel like my clarity on which direction I'm headed kind of gets muddled because it's hard to be consistent and social media is your personal brand. It's a business. At the end of the day, it's your digital business card. It's how people get to know you and whether they want to be in association with you. And the thing that hurts my heart the most is watching people sexualize things on the internet for likes or numbers or growth. I think it's deplorable. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I think it's the worst thing that you can absolutely do is sexualize the martial arts. Everything that the martial arts stands for is respect, discipline, modesty, humility, indomitable spirit, perseverance, even doing things, even the hard stuff. Is it hard to grow on social media having a clean page that stands for something that is ethical and morally, great? Yes, it's hard to grow. I could have 2 million followers if I showed a cheek, but I choose to do things that are hard
Yeah.
because that is what I believe in. And I can only hope that my social media inspires other little girls, young girls to, hey, I want to be a social media influencer. But look, Jules doesn't show her body for likes. She just does her martial arts in her gi, and that works for her. I can do that too.
How do you, or how often do you have the conflict of you're looking at a picture, you're thinking about posting it, and you're like, is this beauty or is this too far? Like, how often do you kind of straddle that line? How do you figure out whether to post it or not?
For being super honest, as somebody that was bodybuilding at some point and in a bikini with muscles on a stage, it is a very fine line between showing something that you're proud of and that you worked hard for. But because I'm not really separate to karate jewels, I don't take pictures or wear stuff that teeters that line too often. And I'll edit my stuff where it's, is that a necessary amount of, body that I'm seeing? Or does this serve the purpose of, I'm at the gym and I can't help that my legs are in this shot? I'm doing a leg exercise. But being aware and conscious in how I live my life, and that comes through my content most of the time anyway, so it's not too much that it comes up that way.
Hmm. How often do you run a post through someone else where you're thinking, like, oh, is this a good idea or a bad idea? Or you just post it most of the time and see what happens? You trust your ingenuity.
I don't think anybody cares more about my personal brand than I do. And so I don't really seek validation from others almost ever. I don't think maybe once or twice I've taken a post and been like, which one should I post, this one or this one?
Yeah,
But
okay.
most of the time, I am very headstrong. Like, I know the direction that I'm running in, and does this serve the purpose or does this? And I can run with that. I trust my intuition and I trust that I'm going to take care of me the best.
Yeah. I'll have that I'll have that little conflict, and maybe because I'm a lot worse at it than you, obviously. But I love memes, right? I think just memes are funny, a great way to communicate. I will use it to generate leads and text leads. I'll text them memes that are a joke because I know they'll actually respond to it. I use that stuff all the time. And there's so many good, and I don't post on social media about politics at all, but I love a good Trump meme. I just think they're funny. It's
Yeah.
just funny. Like, I don't care what your political stance is. He says very insane things, and whether you're pro Trump or not. But it's just, but sometimes I get, oh, should I post this? But it's so funny. It's so good. Like martial arts theme with the Trumps. That's the only thing I'll send out to people. Is this a good idea? And most of the time, the people who I know are going to say it's a bad idea, I just don't listen to it. I forget it. I'm just going to do it. And whatever happens, I'll just do it because it's me and I don't care.
The right people are going to know that I have no ill intent and they're going to stick around. So you just.
Yeah, some people are gonna unfollow me because there's a okay. This is our actual president, whether you support him or not. I can make a meme about the president. Come on. So I guess like my other question for you, and I think this is so important, especially since you went from instructor and then now an actor, stunt actor, an actor, and then eventually a producer, which you told me before we got on here is really your long term goal. How do we get more female martial arts instructors?
I think we start. So, a woman's brain, I feel what I noticed, even from when they're young, is they love to have duties. We're natural foragers, nurturers, and um, so I think we should feed into what a little girl loves to do. When they're young, you tell them, hey, can you help me by keeping the kids, give them little tasks, they love that, but you start building that long-term connection. And I think that when you just thrust it on people right at the end where it's like, do you need a job, you have to learn all of these things and start doing all of this, it should be something that is being catered to a little longer term. I feel like with boys, we start kind of like putting it in their head, you're going to be like Sensei John one day. But we don't often say that to the little girls and maybe start planting that seed of you're a great leader. Did you know that you're going to, if you ever decide to be an instructor, like you're going to be great one day. You know what? When you see that light in their eye, like feed that passion and be like, you know what? Today in after school class, can you help me by passing out the cones to all the kids before we get started in class? And just start feeding that because that positive reinforcement goes a long way rather than something that is just thrown on them last minute, like a, hey, we need you.
Wouldn't that be the same for a guy or a girl?
Yeah.
A
I
little boy
mean,
or a little girl? I get so the real
100%.
question is how do we get more girls? Because obviously there's like a, and if you go to any martial arts school, maybe not any, but a lot of modern ones, I would say, the good ones, are going to have a pretty healthy split, I think, now compared to many years ago. At least our classes are, I would say, it depends on I'd say the younger kids is more 50-50, but as they get older, I think it's a little more lopsided, right? As they get to teenage years, there's definitely more male than female, right? So I guess like how do we keep more female martial arts students training longer if they have the competition of dance or gymnastics or anything, or their friends whispering in their ear that it's weird what they're doing or dumb? Like, is it people like you, like, oh, like you can show them, oh, this person's cool, if she does it, I could do it, or how do we do it?
I think that's a great question because you're right. We should be looking at the trend rather than just like the start. As they get older, there has to be some sort of long termness. I feel girls start worrying about their future before teenage boys do. Boys are like, football, and it's fine until the day that you don't. But girls are like, oh my gosh, I have to start thinking about nursing school. And they're like 13. Like I hear there is a level of maturity. And so I feel like maybe catering to those natural anxious thoughts that start coming through, or maybe those little whispers in the ears of, are you still doing karate? Looking at people and being like, look at all the different avenues that you can do. Like, you can be your own boss one day and have your own karate school. Like, you can be a physical therapist because you know how the body works. If you want to go more of the medical route, if you want to be a TV personality, if you want to be on social media, look at how doing something that is a little bit off the beaten path still gets you really great results. Like just catering more to the long term vision, I think, for girls. Because if I'm thinking about it in high school, that is one of the things that came up for me was I was getting into musical theater and I was starting to compete in the theater troupe because they were telling me if you win Critics' Choice, you can get a scholarship and go to college and get your BFA in drama. That already sounds more long term-ish than you can follow karate and that's it, or
Yeah,
like
you can
maybe
compete
become
at
an
NASA,
instructor.
and then
Right.
that's it. Yeah.
But then even then, so like with NASCA, nobody's telling them what they can do with these world titles. Like being a world champion martial artist, you can build your own seminar business and then you don't work a 9 to 5 and you can start booking with martial arts schools and be a guest instructor. You can learn how to be a really good speaker and a good teacher and even all those long-term things. I think that would help. Being a female, that is like the little bit of anxiety that was cured with like other creative outlets that they had some sort of like clear future.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's awesome. Projecting the future about how it can actually help them. Because you're right, boys don't really think about that. They just kind of think about the moment and having fun
They're
and
looking for
slamming their head against the
I'll figure
wall.
it out.
Yeah. I guess, what about in terms of instructors? Because, and I'll give you some background on why I bring this up, is a couple years ago, I needed to do like full turnover employee, and I was of one of our schools, and I ran a bunch of ads online for job opening, right? And I did a ridiculous amount of interviews. I had 90 something applicants, and maybe six were female. That's it. So few, right? How do we get more women teaching martial arts? Because as much as you can project in the future about, hey, this is what you could do with your job, and this how it can help you and give you confidence, blah, 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 if they don't actually see someone that's doing it, luckily, now people have people like you and Raina and Samantha. There's people on social media they can follow, but but they don't have someone maybe as accessible. How do we help motivate people to get more female instructors? That way, there's other little girls coming up. They have someone around because they're not going to. An 11-year-old girl is not going to look up to me the same way as she looks up to you. It's just we're not. She can look up to me, but not the same way. How do we get more people that could be like instructors?
Immediately, what comes to my mind is I think girls have a little bit more, or women in general, have a little bit more of a gap between how they are perceived. Like they're a little bit more conscious of how they are perceived. Like they don't want to do anything unless they know for sure they're gonna ace that test. Like they want to be over prepared so that they don't go out and embarrass themselves. I think there needs to be more clarity on what it takes to be an instructor, and that would make females feel like, okay, I am ready to do this. If not, I think women are worried about stepping out and that imposter syndrome, being like, I don't belong here. I'm embarrassing myself in front of all these people and all these parents. Never again. Don't want anything to do with that. So I think there should be some sort of preparation. Maybe just, I'm looking for this. I'm looking for somebody that can walk the line, make good physical anchors, praise correct praise, and two more very easy and attainable things. If you feel like you can do those things, you would be a rock star instructor. Are you open to doing this? But if you give some clarity as to what you're looking for and then tell them, those are the qualities of a rock star instructor, there's already that reinforcement of you're good enough. And that would, I think, help a lot of women feel comfortable in stepping out and stepping into the light and not feeling embarrassed. I did the things that they were asking of me. I can absolve of my self image.
Mm. So, at what point, I guess, did you change from an instructor to competitor to actor, or maybe it wasn't that order? Like, when did you make that transition?
So I started competing when I was 8. I was in a really bad car accident and chipped a vertebrae in my back when I was 15. And that made a real click in my head because I was told I wasn't going to be able to walk. I was getting prepped to go into back surgery. My parents decided we were just going to do PT. And so when I did start getting good progress, I became obsessed with I could have died. Like I'm not taking it easy anymore. I'm not just going to do the local and the state stuff and just do it frivolously or it's not trivial anymore. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it to the biggest and best possible extent. And that kind of obsessive mindset started to take place. And I was teaching, but I wasn't just teaching. I was coming in early. How can I push the boundaries? I'm not just going to teach the little dragons class and have them go through hurdles and stuff. I'm going to get that 1.5-year-old to throw 3 clean round kicks. Like I became obsessed with pushing all these boundaries because if somebody looked me in the eye while I was on morphine and completely depressed and could just tell me that I'm never going to walk, let alone do martial arts in my life, not only am I going to prove them wrong by doing it, but I'm going to earn world titles and I'm going to be a phenomenal instructor and I'm going to do it to the greatest intent to throw it back in their face and be you have no idea. Being an instructor, then like competitor, I just wanted to do them to the best capacity. And then when I started to see some of my friends that were in stunts and they were like, Jules, if you did this, you would be great. Like you would blow up. You would do fantastic. We don't have enough women doing like actual badass stuff because if I'm being honest, there's a lot of women in stunts that end up here because they out of need. Oh, you fit the criteria, but they don't have a background that actually makes them super physically capable. And I hate to say that, and I hope that can stay on the podcast, but when they see a girl that can actually kick, punch, and break their fall, it was like game changer. And I didn't understand because all the girls around me were doing that. I was just
Yeah.
surrounded by that was normal to me. they just were pulling a lot of general people and not looking into the martial arts world. When I came in, I was like, oh my God, I got to go back to the martial arts world and tell everybody that they've got something special, that they can go places. They already know what they need to do. They just need to go put themselves out there. And so I just started training like the toughest stuff. Like I wanted to be set on fire. I wanted to get hit by a car. Not only did I want to hit the ground forward and backward, I wanted to flip and hit the ground just like the big guys were doing. I wanted to do everything to the biggest possible extent. And so that obsession and that kind of driving force and mindset mentality kept just leveling up my what can I do? Now, not only do I want to do it for myself, but like how can I like bring other people and show them that they can do it too? And so that's what this phase of life is now.
It's kind of funny because you're like, how do you motivate more girls? Oh, give them the pass, show them what's possible, show them what they can do. And then I'm like, okay, well, what motivated you? Right? People told me I couldn't do it. So I said, screw them, I'm doing it. I think almost the exact opposite, right?
There it is. You know what? That's funny. That's a great observation. Maybe we don't listen to my words and we just pull
Yeah.
some inspiration from the actions.
Yeah, maybe we just start telling little girls like, "Hey, you can never do this. This is a man's sport. It's listen, you need to be really tough. You'll never be tough enough." And then we'll just get some really tough badasses, right?
Who
We'll
knows?
just flood the market. All of a sudden, be 80% women in class are all badass. Nah, I don't know, but I think it's a funny thing to think about. Like, why didn't you stay in the martial arts industry proper? Like, why didn't you go open up a karate school or a string of them? Like, why did you decide to go to the acting side or the stunting side?
Ever since I was a kid, I don't know what it is or who dropped me on my head, but I've had this need to be unique and different. And if everybody else was doing it, then I didn't want to do it. If so, you know what I think it was? When I came back to karate after that kindergarten peer pressure where everybody was like, you can't do karate because all the girls are doing dance and gymnastics. And I was like, you guys kept me from this thing that I love and I let you. So, like, from then on, it was just like, if you tell me I can't or I won't or I shouldn't, then I will. So, I would dye my hair purple. I had my entire head bright violet purple because I needed to be different. I would wear to competition these like bright glitter eyeliner because I wanted to be different. Like I wasn't going to be like every little girl that was competing. I had these massive bows like, oh, we're going to be in traditional uniforms, but I'm going to stand out cuz I have this. And so
Hmm.
it's just carried on to my
That
adult life, into my professional career. If everybody's that's a martial artist thinks that they should have a karate school, then I'm going to find a different way to do martial arts as my career, but not your typical.
I'm gonna find one of those old photos of you with the purple hair. It's gonna be in the thumbnail of this episode. I'm gonna concrete that in there forever. Okay, so you decide do um, you want to do stunt work. Why that? Is that because it just works with martial arts? Like, why not just go right into acting?
I'm a martial artist first. It's a part of who I am on and off the mats. Everything that I do is somehow connected to a concept or some part of the martial arts for me, whether it be business, social, spiritual, emotional. It's all connected. And so I just felt like stunts allowed me to do what I had been doing my entire life and finally be told that this is valuable, that we see you, we hear you, we feel that passion. And if you think about it, stunts are storytellers too. Like, we're not just adrenaline junkies, we're really good risk takers. We love to make a good risk assessment and say, I can do this, and here's contingency plan A, B, and C in case that this goes wrong. And I, as a martial artist, have enough body awareness to trust myself that if this goes wrong, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be safe. And so there's that problem solving mode that goes into it. And at the same time, you have to perform. So we're not just stunts, we are stunt performers. When we get to work or we get a job, I am breaking down the same script. I am breaking down the same character that your favorite A-list actors and actresses are. At the end of the day, if I step in without having done any research or tried to tell the same story, you're going to tell that's a bad stunt double. Oh my God, she's never had any physical training. She's just trying to run away and like she's scavenging for her life. She should not look like a black belt when she is fighting this person that is trying to abduct her. She
Mm.
is going to be kicking and scratching and pushing and grabbing things and trying to smash them over their head. She doesn't have a lot of balance and coordination. And she's so anxious. She's fidgeting with her finger or picking at her lip in between things. And even though you don't see my face, you can see when my hand is shaking from the back. All of those things happen, but that's what's so beautiful about stunts is it's so underrated. Nobody understands, and stunt performers have been hiding for so long, and then they complain that they haven't gotten recognition. And I felt that because I enjoy storytelling and I enjoy being a martial artist and I enjoy bringing light and recognition to unique areas, that's where I fit in. That was me filling a void, bringing awareness and light to all the things that a good stunt performer does. And then now transitioning to acting, bringing that information to actors too, so that they know and they can respect stunts as well.
So if you were acting in a role and there was an opportunity for a stunt, would you insist that you were doing that stunt, or they're like, "Oh no, we want a double for it"? Would you be like upset by that?
Not necessarily. So I am I'm a stunt woman, but I'm also in my brain producing at the same time, or that's where my head goes. If it's a high risk stunt and I am an actor that day, is it worth my risk assessment is going off? Is it worth me trying to do it for respect and glory and ego? Where if I get hurt, now production needs to shut down. I may lose my role and the opportunity to continue growth in my career. Or do I let somebody that has trained their whole life and is so excited to do what they love the opportunity to do it? In my head, that's a no brainer. Now, if it's a low risk stunt, something that I know I'm very capable of, and it's going to save time, it's going to save production money because they don't have to bring in a stunty, or it also saves the editor time having to cut in between a double and me because if my face shows, then it's no problem. I'm thinking producer route, right? If it's low risk, I'm going to do it. If it's high risk and potentially going to fuck us long term, then no, let somebody else do
Yeah, that makes sense. What's the riskiest stunt that you've done?
it. So I did a movie that comes out on the 20th on Amazon Prime where I was doubling Kat Graham and I had to free dive. She's
Wait, what's
basically
Cat Graham as a character? That's the name of the movie.
that's the name of the actress. She was from Vampire
Okay,
Diaries.
what's the name of the movie?
Duplicity. It just changed. So the original name of the movie was Black, White, and Blue, and it just changed to
When's this
Duplicity.
coming out?
March 20th on Amazon Prime.
Okay, cool. So around this episode comes out, make sure to check out Duplicity. And by the way, just so I don't forget to say it, if you're like a martial arts school owner and you're like love this episode, make sure to check out my newsletter, Black Belt Business Newsletter. You can Google it. You can send me a DM on Instagram. It's free advice, 3 emails a week that talk about how to grow your team, grow your student base without having to depend on ads. So you doing it all organically through your local schools, and how to have better retention in your schools. All free, 3 emails a week, 3 minute read, no fluff, all strategy. All right, back to what you were saying. Go, add
Oh,
DM
yeah.
me now. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
Go.
So on this movie, I had done a lot of free diving scenes, and we were doing something that technically is like a big water world. No. So we would go down, we would descend to the bottom of the tank on a hookah line. So it's a scuba tank with nitrox and compressed oxygen. And at the bottom of the tank, I would do a free dive breathe up. And so I would prepare my body to go into free diving mode. I have a 4 minute static breath hold. And so I was chained up with chains and I was holding an anchor. I'm in heels and like a satin like set
How deep are you?
and like 20 feet, I think.
And do you have scuba diving experience?
So I am PADI certified. And then before this movie, I did a lot of free dive training with the people from Avatar Way of the Water.
Very cool. Okay.
And so I do my free dive breathe up. Now, if we understand the physics of this, the compressed air from a scuba tank at the bottom, that air is very small. As we ascend, that oxygen, that air starts to expand. If I don't breathe out enough of it, but also keep enough in my lungs that I can continue to do the action without running out of air, that air could potentially explode my lungs.
Mm-hmm.
And I did bruise a lung on one of them, one of the takes, just because I thought I had breathed out enough and I felt like a little stretch. But at the bottom, soak up as much oxygen and nitrox as I can. And then I would do all my action. And I was under there for 2 minutes, fighting, shooting as much as I can. We have this speaker phone that the director can talk to me underneath the water through. And then I would kind of swim up to the bottom of a sunken, like a flipped boat, and continue my action there. And on one of them, when I felt my lung kind of bruise, I aborted and I like came up to the top. And that was an interesting night. Yeah.
That's terrifying.
That one was one of them. And then the on Beetlejuice, I doubled Jen Ortega, and on one of them they needed me to drift a like Schwinn cruiser antique vintage European bike. And it's not a mountain bike, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not meant for that.
yeah.
And so I lost traction on both tires and went face first into the asphalt.
Oh God.
Got a nice little black eye, knocked out, woke up, and I was like, let's do it again. And then I crashed into the tree another 6 hours. It was great.
Oh my God. You kept all your teeth?
I did. I did.
I
And
had.
my body awareness as a martial artist, when I saw it happening, I tried to tuck and roll, but my hands got caught on the handles. So I said, I like my nose. So I remember seeing the asphalt getting closer. So I lifted my chin so my nose wouldn't hit. So I just barely scratched with my chin, but it whipped my head down. And that's when I hit the side of my head and
Uh,
got.
you're like, I love my nose, hate my chin. Just
If one's gonna take it,
take the
I'd
chin.
rather the chin
Yeah.
than the nose.
I actually had a crazy thing happen to me where I was driving my car and it was a morning time, like a Saturday morning, and some kid is riding a bike. He's probably 19 or something, riding a bike in front of me, and his wheel gets caught on there's just like trolley tracks on the street that like haven't been active in I don't know how many years, 20 years or something. But his tire gets caught in it and he flips over his bike like face first.
Endos.
And then, yes, he slams in the street. I'm in the car right behind him. Thank God I wasn't looking at my phone or anything else. I would have ran the kid over. I was like fully focused, thank God. And then I park the car, I get out, I like stop traffic. It was like a 2 lane road. I help him over to the side. And I look at him, he's, am I okay? And he smiles and he's missing his teeth. Yeah. And his, I think it was like wrist is broken or his hand or something. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to call you an ambulance. And he's, no, you can't do that. I don't have insurance. My mom won't have enough money. You can't do that. I'm like, dude, you're missing your teeth, bro. I need to get you an ambulance. This is insane. He's like, no, please don't. And his phone was broken, so he couldn't call his mom, and he didn't know her number. And this kid is, now that I say, I think he was like maybe 17 or maybe 18. He was young, and I just felt bad. And so I was like, all right, dude, well, I'm gonna drive you. So I would have put his like bike. I live not too far away, so I got my friend to come take his bike, put it in my house, and I drove him to the hospital. And like his like eventually later his like mom showed up like crying and she's like and then oh no, sorry, she didn't show up. I take it back. She had to work, and he was from like a poor neighborhood, and so she couldn't leave work. But eventually she got on the phone and thank you so much. You're like, and I just felt bad. It was just like a kid. And then eventually he got work done in the hospital and I drove him to his house. And it was like, that's when I realized he was like really from a bad neighborhood. I pulled up, I was like, oh yikes. Like this is like a tough part of town. And then the mom answered the door and she's like crying. Like it was such like a crazy experience. So like for you to even have a bike that you know there's a chance, all right, I'm gonna do this on purpose and maybe slam my face and get up and do it again. Like that's wild. right? I obviously this situation was a mistake; it just happened. But for you to even take that chance is like stunt doubles are badass.
Thanks.
um,
Actually, on that same job, I knew, so I had a camera mount for a POV kind of shot of like on the bike. Now, they didn't balance the bike when they gave it back to me, and I'm going downhill. So I start to pick up speed and it starts doing the speed wobbles. And I'm like, oh gosh, obviously there's more weight because they have a camera mount on it on that side. And I'm like, I like my job. Again, producer brain, all of this in like milliseconds is that camera's expensive. This is going to slow us down. This is going to make us go into overtime on another day. This is not good. So instead of letting the bike go down on the side that the camera was, I kick out my own wheel in front of me so that way the bike goes to my side where I can tuck and roll, but at least the camera lands upright. We can replace the bike faster than we can replace all that gear.
mm,
And so I kick out the bike out from under me. It falls too fast for me to get my foot out. I land fine on the floor. I'm used to like hitting the ground. That's my favorite thing.
hmm
And the mount lands on my foot and my it breaks my ball of foot. My toe is like flat up against the instep of my foot.
yeah.
And I pull my foot out from under it. Like they come and they grab the bike, they lift it up, and they're like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "I'm good." And I'm like, "Let's go back to one. Let's reset." And I start to walk, and I can feel my toe just
Uh,
inside my boot, just like moving side to side because the ball of foot had been broken, so that knuckle wasn't controlling where it was
that's
going.
gross.
But I was like, at least the camera's fine.
Camera's
I have a
fine.
limp, but
Chin destroyed. Foot, I'll never walk again. But the camera, that's insured. At least that's okay. That's not your
I
camera.
listen, Sony, the respect I have for you.
So, is it harder to get a job as an acting role or a as a stunt actor? Is it just easier to stunt and then people go to acting and if they have that skill set?
I think it's like asking how long does it take to grow an apple and how long does it take to grow an orange. I think they're different environments, but they both take a really long time of free to fee. Like you're going to have to put in a lot of work, nobody telling you this specific thing is going to make you money. You just have to try it all until it grows and it becomes fruitful.
Hmm.
They both require an exuberant amount of work, dedication, and effort.
Yeah, I mean, I have, it's the same thing with business. Like, I always tell people, especially who are younger, like in the beginning of your career, you're going to be underpaid and overworked. That's always how it's going to be. And you hope that the later end of your career, you're underworked and you're overpaid, right? And same thing with
Mhm.
acting, right? You hope, but that's always the goal. That hey, you do this one shot and then you make way more money than when you did a month of doing something else, right? Um, so is when you are going through your acting endeavors now, is there who do you look up to? Who do you look up to in that world that you check out their social media and see what they're doing because you want to be like them or at least just learn from them?
So I don't, I have a lot of mentors. And I think I look up to people more like based on their path than specifically what they do. For example, I'll tell you all the people that I love to pull inspiration from, but it's not necessarily as an actor that I look up to them and I think that they're like the best actor.
Sure.
The Rock, he came from what he did. He's got Danny Garcia, this strong, badass woman behind him running $7 production. And now he owns TKO. And he's just got this hand producing in a lot of things. He's created a lot of opportunities for himself and his family.
Hmm.
Margot Robbie opened up her own production company, Lucky Chap. And she not only gets to do what she loves and is very happy doing it, but she has also now started producing and creates opportunities for others. The Wahlberg brothers, I mean, Mark Wahlberg, bringing it back to Boston as much as he can to create opportunities for those people that are local to when he was first starting up. I love Jason Bateman. I think he is really, I think he's a comedic genius and just his humor connects with me beautifully, but he's also I've heard really kind. And so I look up to those attributes along with, I want to say, This one's controversial, but Zoe Saldana recently, everybody had an issue with her on Amelia Perez or whatever. She took on this, but she's adaptable. When the industry told her, we don't like you because you're Hispanic, she went more like half black, half white, going for those kind of roles. I'm going to get there whether you like me or not. Then they were like, oh, now we love that you're Hispanic. Let's capitalize on that. So she took on a role where she was speaking mainly Spanish. So she has been adaptable because she's, whether you want to consume me or not, I am going to be here and there's nothing you can do to get rid of me. And so I feel like what I look up to more is mentality and mindset and trajectories versus just like a specific talent or skill set.
That's a great answer. I love that. To kind of shift from the acting world to the personal branding, talk a little bit more about that. If when people ask me if they should grow their social media account, not that I'm an expert by any means, but for a martial arts school owner, I just post a lot. I'm not good at it, but I post a lot, right? They'll say, okay, should I grow my social media account a lot? Should I work on my personal branding? And I feel like sometimes it makes sense. Like it's obviously good for like community awareness, but unless you have like an online product or a specific goal, like with the social media account, then it doesn't necessarily make sense. But what would you say? If you're a martial arts school, I have my school, should I be focused more on my personal social media, my school's business account, or my page or whatever? Like, how would you, what advice would you give them?
So this is the same conversation that we've had when you're like opening up a karate school and you have to pick between like motivate karate and after school or Perez Karate School or Andrews Karate Academy. If you have chosen the personal route because you know that you are going to be attached to this to the day you die, and then when you die, it's kind of done,
Yeah.
then obviously grow your personal brand because people are there for you. They're there because they want Andrew to teach them karate at Andrew's Karate Academy. If you are trying to grow something that is scalable, something that goes beyond you, something that is more community driven by the mission, I think focus on your karate school. And even if you have Perez's Taekwondo Academy, now we can focus on building the brand side of it and what you stand for and what you do and build that community engagement. So that way they forget that it's about Perez. They just feel like, oh, that's where all the kids go when they want to grow their discipline and blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is that you want your thing to stand for.
That makes a
So
lot of
it
sense.
depends on what you want to do. Do you want it to grow for you and your image? I'm not saying either one is wrong. Let's be real. I love when people are like, my goal is to make more money. Why is it so hard for some people to be honest? If you want to make more money, let's talk about making more money.
Hmm.
There's no problem with that. But it just depends on what your goals are. If are you trying to grow a community and something that's scalable and larger than life where people can run with your torch when you get busy and tired and continue to spread that message? Or are you trying to make sure that people look up to you?
Yeah.
I think progress over perfection in either one of those cases. People love a good underdog to hero story. If you're building your personal brand, don't feel like you need to post this super clean, perfect aesthetic, super, I'm the picture of health and perfection. People want to see relatability, relatable storytellers. This is last week I was really struggling with 10s at the gym, and this week I was able to do it with 30s. And here's what I did in between, and blah, blah, blah. People want to feel that connection, that relatability. And then for the business side, same thing. We don't want to just see these perfect pictures. We want to see the kids at the school being busy and sweaty and doing the damn thing, but at the same time keeping a clear conscience that you only get one first impression. So if somebody comes on your page and it looks a mess, then I feel like, oh, this is overwhelming and I don't want to be a part of that. But this can also look real. So like finding that happy balance.
What's the number one thing people get? That's a great answer, but what's the number one thing people get wrong about social media for growing their accounts?
Keep prepping. I need more strategy, and I'm planning out a content thing, and I've got to have a whole month of content lined up before I post the first one. Just, you don't need another book. You don't need another meeting. You need to action. You need action. You need to take some action. And speed is king, right? You do it 20 times. Now, either you have 20 things that or 10 things that work and 10 things that don't work, but you are much closer to hitting your jackpot and finding your people and getting it right than somebody that, while you were posting 20 times, hasn't posted once and is still trying to find what works.
Mm.
The algorithm is constantly changing. I've posted things that I thought were going to be throwaway posts and do the best numbers. I mean, 56 million views on a video that was a placeholder for in between things that I actually wanted to post. You don't know unless you try. Take action. You don't need another book. You need to take action.
Yeah, that's great advice. I hired, oh, not really hired, but I bartered with a friend to help me with my social media. And so the last 60 days, she challenged me to post 3 times a day. Just post as much as you can. And I just finished that a couple days ago. So now I'm actually going through to see it. Some of it did well, most of it I would say did pretty terrible. But at least I did it. And then not being worried about the embarrassment. I think the embarrassment is the hardest part, like being over that fear of looking stupid or looking silly. My niece and nephew, they're, I don't know, 10 and 12 or something like that, or 12 and 14. And they make fun of me every time I see them in person, every single time. They're like, Matt, your social media is so cringe, Matt. And I'm like, oh, but you guys still watching, huh? Oh, you still looking? Oh, okay. Well, it can't be that bad if you didn't like mute me or block me or whatever. And then they crack up and they're like, but it's nonstop them making fun of me. It's okay. My friends have done the same thing. We're in the screenshot in the group chat or whatever. So you have to be okay with people making fun of you because later when you do great, they're going to talk about, oh, I've been following him since the beginning, right? You got to be okay with just putting yourself out there. I don't know how many, you probably feel this way too. Maybe you do. You can tell me how many times I've been in the shower. I'm sitting there and going, delete everything. When I get out of this, I'm deleting the entire thing. It's over. It's over. I'm out of it. I don't want, do you ever get that feeling? No? Oh, you never do that? Oh, man. I would say once a week. Everything with my name on it on the internet needs to come off. It's all, how do I master delete? Oh,
No!
God.
You should be so proud of what you have built and all the stages of it. I think about this all the time.
Yeah.
How many people listen, social media and putting yourself out there in any case is inherently cringe. Who does this person think they are stepping up on that stage and thinking that they're good enough? And but then when they start selling tickets, people are like, how did you do it?
Right.
So everybody's gonna hate, then they're gonna secretly copy, and then they're gonna ask you how you did it. You cannot have that last step without the first two.
Yeah.
And so you just have to, I always think about it, but I remember like my mom, I was like, oh my God, the Kardashians, something when I was a kid. And my mom was like, all publicity is good publicity. Done. I've been writing that for the rest of my life. Like just holding near and dear. All publicity is good publicity. If they're talking about me, if my name is in their mouth, if they are Googling my name, those numbers, they Google can't tell if you love me or you hate me, but my numbers are going up, and that is valuable to somebody out there that wants to pay me to have their name associated with mine and their brand in
Mm.
front of those people.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so what she had me do is now what I'm doing is like making a spreadsheet, putting all the now that I like shit posted for 60 days. Obviously some things I put freaking 3 hours into and it would get one, oh my God, I actually thought this was good. Because I'm better at writing than I am like videos and pictures. So I've been working a lot on like story slides where I can use words, one sentence slide. How do I get them to go to one slide to next? Because that I'm good at writing. I'm just not good at like video editing as much. So so now it's okay. I'm going through all the best ones, and okay, now how do I make more content just like that? And that's going to be my next focus in the next 2 months. It's like just copying that, making like 4 versions of each one of those to see which one hits based on what the algorithm likes. And so it's been a fun process, but also a lot of time, very, very time consuming.
So time consuming.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I mean, I'm sure you get this all the time too. People are like, what should I do at building my social media and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, are you ready to take on a full time job on top of your job? Because if not, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
For 7 years, consistently, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and birthdays, 4 to 8 hour days, planning, prepping, strategizing, watching, keeping up with the trends. I read the news and I see what is going on in our world so that I am sensitive to certain things. I just like you would in the stock market, study your atmosphere, the
Mm,
same thing, you study trends in social media. And nobody paid me well, at least in the first 5 years of me doing social media. But now on year 8, these last 3 years, I've been able to pay all my bills just off of being my genuine self on social media. But I wouldn't have gotten there if I didn't take it seriously from the beginning. You have to treat it like a business.
mm.
So,
Well, thank you so much for coming on here, and thank you for telling us about not your from the beginning, like being a martial arts kid at 8 years old, competing all the way to now. I'm excited to see your acting career flourish and you
thank
get
you.
to 1 million, 2 million followers without showing any cheeks. So super impressive. That way I can still send you to my students. If you start going the other direction, I can't share anymore, so that'll be it. And then, as a reminder, if you haven't followed yet, make sure to follow her on Instagram and all other social media platforms. On Instagram, I know it's at karate.jewels, Jewels. You can follow me on Instagram at blackbeltbrenner1. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.